BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Lyric Corner. I am Jackie, and it's time for a bookish update. So these are the two books I've been reading this week. First, we have The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. I read East of Eden a couple years ago, and I really enjoyed it. This is his other big novel. I have attempted his shorter works, but I haven't read them all the way through, except for Of Mice and Men. I've read that twice now, because I read that in high school, I think, either high school or middle school, and I reread it a couple years ago, because I have been meaning to reread it. So I'll elaborate more on this in a minute, but I also am I finally started reading John Adams by David McCullough. Now, you guys know I had borrowed my brother-in-law's copy, so I had read some of it already, but then, because I wasn't always in the mood to read it, and I didn't want to keep it forever, because it was not my copy, and I didn't want to feel guilty, even if, it wasn't like my brother-in-law was looking for his copy. I ended up returning it to their home when last time we visited, and not last time, I ended up returning it and giving it back to them, and I told myself that if I see a copy of it at the post office, I would buy it. So I didn't, and I'm sure you guys saw the book haul where I hauled this book, but this is actually the mini-series tie-in edition. And that doesn't bother me as much as other people do, other people are bothered by it. I know a lot of people don't love when they have the actors from the adaptation on the cover. I didn't mind it. I just grabbed it because I've been looking for a paperback, and I didn't want to spend, full price, like what I would spend at Books A Million if I bought this book there, because it wasn't it's this, I have a weird, I don't want to spend, full price at, for a book that I'm not necessarily gonna absolutely love, or, it's not gonna be an all-time favorite. Because if I end up not absolutely loving this, I can, it won't be a big deal, because I only spent, $4 on it. It's a iffy situation with nonfiction. Because, you just don't know if you're gonna absolutely love a nonfiction work, even if it's a topic you're interested in. Or at least maybe that's just me. But anyway, but this is really, as I said when I first hauled this, I've always been intrigued by John Adams, especially because it's John Adams, through the 1776, our local community theater doing that play, and my dad wanting to be part of it, but then he didn't get in it. And then, we bought the DVD of it, which I had just found out that the cast in the movie adaptation, I think they were the original cast for the first production of 1776. And there's actually, John Adams was played by William Daniels, who, if you are a 90s kid and watch Boy Meets World, you know him as Mr. Finney. Finney. I can't do the Finney call. I try and it sounds bad. I just can't do it. But, yeah, so he can sing. He can sing too. And of course that has his dry humor that, is such a delight, compared to, some of the young actors he worked with in Boy Meets World. But in this one, Paul Giamatti, in this version, I don't know if you can tell, it's Paul Giamatti played Adams in the miniseries. So of course I knew some stuff already, but there's details, of course, in here that I didn't know. I wasn't sure about, if they had just romanticized his relationship with his wife in the musical, but I don't think so. It sounds like they really loved each other and were very close and would write these romantic letters, to each other. And it was like, I even have the John Adams and Abigail Adams, the letters they would write back and forth. And there was this mutual respect between them. You know, he didn't condescend to her. He respected her and her opinion. He saw her as an equal. And she didn't have to play the part of the, silly little dumb wife. She was actually very smart, very intelligent. It was very helpful to him, offered him advice. And they had a very loving relationship. So it's kind of nice to hear about that kind of marriage, especially during a time when women, sometimes they would marry because they had to. It was a marriage of convenience. And men still thought themselves superior, would always think themselves superior to women. And that's BS, because women are just as smart as men. The only difference is that men, between men and women is like physical differences and biological differences. But other than that, we're just as smart as men are. We are just as capable. And it's nice to see a man who respects his wife and will like consider her advice, and he values her opinion. And a woman that does genuinely love her husband, not just because, he's attractive, because, from the description, John Adams, he's not the most attractive. I think Jefferson was probably more attractive. But, and, like, he sounds very romantic. Also, a lot of things talking about Adams, his father was a deacon. And he actually wanted his son to be, a church deacon, but Adams realized it wasn't life for him. And thankfully his father was like, he was okay with it. He accepted it. He accepted that his son wanted to be a lawyer. But before he was a lawyer, he was actually a teacher. And it sounds like he was a pretty decent teacher. Like, he knew that, punishing and scolding children isn't going to help them learn. You get, so you actually got to meet them at their level. And he also was a very insecure person, which you kind of also get that in the Ron Chernow biography, when that one does talk about John Adams, because it does talk about Adams a bit, just as this one talks about Jefferson a little bit. Which makes sense, because they all had a relationship with each other. They were all, colleagues, friends, acquaintances. They all knew each other. And had opinions about each other. But John Adams, he was also very, like I said, he's very insecure. He says one of his biggest faults is vanity, and not vanity as in the way we look at vanity today, where when we think of vanity, we think of your physical appearance, and you care about your looks and stuff like that. But actually, it was more for him. It was about like what people thought of him as a person, his intelligence. I guess that would be the equivalent to arrogance today. That's how we use, because like I said, today we use vanity as describing, people who think very highly of their physical appearance. But that's not what I meant in this case. But and he also valued his friendships, which I think is really, I really like that too. How his friendships with people are very important to him. He was very loyal to them. And there were some things that were said here that made me wonder if he was depressed, if he had experienced depression. Especially, but he would be away from Abigail for long periods of time, being in Philadelphia. So he does that thing that a lot of people do, which is, they get excited about being in this new place. It's so much fun. But then after a while, it's like, not as great being there as home is. When he was in Philadelphia, he was like all excited about this new place. And then after a while, it got like stopped being exciting. And it wasn't as fun. But anyway, I hope the miniseries comes back to HBO soon, because I would love to watch it. Because I didn't finish it when I first started watching it. because when it comes to nonfiction and historic and and history and all that, I have to be in the right mindset for that. But either way, it's really cool to read about John Adams, because I'm definitely a history person. I'm a history, English, and reading person. But there's that. I'm reading that very slowly. And again, just like with the Walt Disney biography, what's really annoying is it seems super long, but then I realized that there's a small chunk in this book as well as in the Walt Disney biography that's just like notes, like the bibliography and stuff like that, which again, as I said before, that's important, but it made me feel like there was going to be a lot more that this book has a lot more to read, but really it's just like, unless you want to go through the bibliography, which I don't usually do that, I mean, I would rather, because I'm not always like looking for, okay, what's the next thing I could read? I mean, if I want to do that, I will, but at the moment, I don't like how having the notes and the bibliography and the index and all that just makes the book seem longer than it really is. I mean, I know it's important to have it in there. So it's really just a little tiny irritation, not a huge deal. But like I said, it makes me think these biographies are longer than they really are. So back to talking about Grapes of Wrath. So this is about the Jove family, and they are going to California because they lived in Oklahoma originally, and they had their own land and everything, and then the bank comes and kicks them off their land and all their neighbors off their land because the land is not making profit and they want to do something with it. So like, bye-bye. You can't be here anymore, so go away. We don't care what you do, just go away. This is our land now. And of course the Joves don't have enough money to get to California. But now the book does start with their son Tommy, who's named after their father, named after Pa, and Tommy was in jail because I think he killed a kid or something, like they got into a fight. So he's out on parole now, which means he technically cannot leave the state. So, and his mom, of course, is worried about that because they need him. They want him to come with them to California. And of course, when his mom talks to him about this, he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it, Mom. As long as I don't do anything bad, anything illegal, I'm good." Like, that's gonna backfire on you. That's gonna backfire on you later. But so far, there are some really interesting characters. So far, like I really like the preacher, the former preacher. Although everyone keeps telling him Jim Casey is his name, and he was a preacher, but then he walked away because his mindset was not in the same mindset as a preacher should be with God, so he decided to quit. But of course, Tommy's family is like, you're still a preacher whether you like it or not. Like, preacher will always be a preacher, and they invite him along because of that, because they still see him as a preacher, and he can pray for them and pray over their loved ones, and so I really like him. Tommy's a really, I'm starting to really like Tommy. I don't really have any other attachments to any characters. The problem is this book is also kind of slow, and because they're just trekking along and describing what they're doing and stuff. Beautiful descriptions of their environment. Lots of describing of dust. Lots of dust. Which, I mean, is the Oklahoma's part of the Dust Bowl, and was set in 1930s, and that's part of the problem why they get kicked off their land, because the land is so dusty and just bad that they can't really, it's hard to grow anything. I think the bank wants to use it for cotton though. So they grow a lot of cotton there. Like when Tommy first gets there, his family's already left to go live with his Uncle John. And there's just a bunch of cotton growing where his house is. but like I said, it's just really slow moving. It's about this family just traveling to California, and they did already meet someone who already hinted at the fact how they're going to be responded to when they get there. And also, there's a lot of people that they're crossing paths with that all those people are noticing. All these people from, like Oklahoma and Texas and all those places coming this way to California, and they have all their stuff, and people are suspicious of them and think, and don't trust them and are annoyed that they don't have money. And it's like, in some of the arguments that go back and forth, like these poor families versus everybody else, I kind of understand where both sides are coming from. Like, this family can't help it. They don't have the money. They're not purposely poor. And of course they have a passion and affection for the land they live on. They care about it. It's their home, It's very important to them. But then at the same time, like the bank and everyone else, we live in a capitalist society. We make money, and you can't just. And their concerns are valid about it, and about these people not paying them. Asking for like gas and bread for really cheap, and to decide, are you gonna be charitable, or and I think it's easy to say that you should be, but I don't think it's always easy to be, charitable, because you don't know where that money's going to. And also, we meet, so yeah, we got a lot of people who are distrustful of the Jodes and these other people that are coming from the same direction, headed to California. And let's see what else. But so yeah, it's definitely it's pretty good. It's just kind of slow. Like, I'm on a chapter that's really long, that feels really long, and it's just like, and also it's hard to read in the dialogue these characters speak in. It's very hard to read it, like, and I can't, like, they all sound like me with a southern accent or whatever when I hear it in my head. I can't do like a separate voice. I don't have that skill like actors do. But yeah, so there's not a lot going on. Right now they're just traveling. And yeah, like I said, they have met some hostility. People that are just hesitant to trust them, and they have made some friends though. This couple, the Wilsons, and are accompanying them on their journey. And there are some sad parts. There's already been a couple of sad moments. Excuse me. Sorry. It's definitely, really good. It's just slow. And at times kind of, like, anyway, I guess that's really all I gotta say about Grapes of Wrath. It's not as long as East of Eden. So, I should be able to get through it. It's just, like I said, some of the chapters are really short. Like I'm still reading chapters 16, but there's only 30 chapters altogether. And some of them are really long, and a few of them are kind of short, so. But anyway, it's pretty good. I think I still like East of Eden better so far. And I think I'm going to try Canary Row and read some of the other short stories by Steinbeck. Just give them another try, because I did say my, that Barnes & Noble, omnibus edition, where it has all his shorter works in one big book. And it's smaller than the Jane Austen or Sherlock Holmes or the, Poe collections. Anyway, so that's currently what I'm reading right now. Always would love to know what you guys are reading at the moment. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe. If you haven't already, click the bell notification button if you want to be notified about my latest videos. I hope you're enjoying your reading, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye!